everybody, welcome back to the Collegiate Tech channel. So today, my friend Isaac and I are actually going to be building what you see here in front of us. So he's a fellow college student. He's going to explain a little bit about what his major is and kind of why he needs this computer, and then we're going to get right into it.
Yeah, so my major includes a little bit of global studies, but also focuses really heavily on digital media. And so as a visual content producer, I really need technology that keeps up to what I'm doing. And so previously I was editing on a really old, kind of janky laptop, and it can't keep up with what I need it to be able to do. And so as a college student, I also have a budget, a very limited budget in a lot of ways. And so I talked to my friend John here, and he parted me something out that I can do everything that I need to do with, but also that fits within my limited budget.
Yeah, so with that being said, basically a fairly brief overview of the components here. It's actually very similar to the components within our first build on the channel. You can go check that out. I'm going to put an annotation up here in this corner. But basically the same 350 motherboard, just from MSI instead of Asus. It's got a Ryzen 2600, the Ryzen 5 2600 processor, as opposed to the 1600X, which is what I had when I built mine. It's just the newer generation. It's just basically a refresh of Ryzen's components. And then 1 terabyte hard drive, 480 gig solid state, 16 gigs of RAM, and still a 1060 graphics card. But since it's a little bit smaller of a case, went for a smaller form factor on the graphics card. But everything should run roughly the same. And everything you see here, including the peripherals, this 4K monitor, which we'll go into detail on in a little bit, everything here was less than $1,200. All right, so first steps are fairly simple. If you could go ahead and unbox that real quickly. And then this is the CPU itself. This box should have the cooler, which is right here, and the CPU itself, which is here, and then everybody's favorite additional packaging, which is phenomenal. That is very clever. So the thermal compound is actually already applied here, which is incredibly convenient. The motherboard itself, so this is going to come with the side plate here, which goes into the back of the computer, and then a couple of SATA cables. And again, additional literature in case you wanted to read about things. And optical drives, which no one uses. So those are being thrown away. I have not seen an optical drive in a few months, probably.
It's been 84 years.
So here's the motherboard itself. It's an MSI board. It's actually a very nice board. But this is fully compatible with the AM4 socket type, which is incredibly important because that's what we have. So Ryzen's new processor lineup is AM4 compatible. So yep, that's thermal compound. Fantastic. Excellent. That is now on my fingers. I'll be right back. All right, so now that I'm back and wearing less thermal compound as a fashion decision, I'm going to go ahead and install this. So this is the CPU itself, obviously. It's actually fairly simple to install. You just lift up the retaining arm here, and then you line up. There's a gold triangle on here. You line that up with the triangle here, and then this just drops directly into place. There we go. And then you just pull this down right there. So the CPU is now in place. I'm just going to go ahead real quickly and remove this. If you want to just hold that steady. And then I'll actually get you to install the CPU itself. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take that. These are now in place where they need to be, these 4 brackets. Okay. Yeah, so put it this way, okay, and then we can route that behind. So you end up doing that.
Just drop it on?
Yep, just line it up with those 4 screws and then go ahead and pop it in. Hold it in place here. There you go. Okay, so that's installed. Now this is your 4-pin fan header. And it goes down this, see this, there's a slot here attached to that slot there, and just pop it in. And then we'll cable manage it in just a second. Perfect, okay. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna install your RAM. So these 2 right here, they're gonna go in the 2 and 4 slots. See, the slot is a little bit off center. So you're just gonna push straight down on both sides. Make sure they both click in, and are they both locked?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. The next one you're gonna do there is this one right here. Same place. Make sure it's slotted correctly. The shorter end is this side. Line everything up. Nope. That one there. Perfect. Okay, so that's locked into place.
Great.
So that's your CPU and your RAM already installed. That's kind of the basis of the computer. You could power it on and it would run right now as long as you attach storage and power to it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and put this in the case itself. But before we do that, we're actually going to take out one of the case fans and change things around just to make sure everything kind of looks the way it's supposed to. All right, if you want to go ahead and take the front and the back off, you take the front, I'll take the back. So it's 2 simple thumb screws. All right, so this essentially is the cabling for that. And what it does is it pulls air through this way and pushes it out the back. So if you want to go ahead and take out these 4 screws that are they're on the back side.
Yeah.
So just all 4 of them. I'll hold the fan while you take it out. And this is a little bit for aesthetic, but mostly for airflow as well, because as it stands right now, there's really no intake in the system at all. One of the positives of this case is the fact that it does have a lot of built-in cable management.
One eternity later.
It's like adult Legos, but like 10 times the price. Or you could be like Michael and just, you know, spend $3.5 grand on a pre-built system. How much did you actually spend for your? Whoa, the table's falling over. That's wonderful, lads.
Oh. I actually spent on the iMac?
Yeah.
$0.
Okay, whatever.
How much did I spend on MacBook?
How much was the iMac?
I'm just gonna,
Like
you know.
2,700.
Okay, so yeah, 3 grand was not that far off.
A few inches later.
So that's going to be the next thing we install, is going to be the motherboard itself. This is a weapon. You can kill someone with this. They're very sharp, so be careful. I'm going to have you put it in. And one of the worst things is getting to be...
get cut by it, right?
What? Yeah, actually, yes. One of the worst things about building a computer system, though, is getting to the end of the build and realizing you forgot to put the protective motherboard shield on, and then your I/O shield is gone, and you have a hole in the back of your case. And that's not fun. That's incredibly the worst possible thing in the world. And as long as the diagrams are the right side up, they are upside down.
Ooh.
So, yep. DVI.
That was a good start. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so that's now installed. So here comes the fun part, where we actually pop this bad boy into the computer. If you want to just turn this a little bit here, so it's actually visible on camera. And then it's actually better if we do this from the top down. So basically, I'm going to just lay the case flat. And then probably just going to end up cutting this out. And the next time you see us, we'll have a motherboard installed in the computer. Because magic. Isn't that exciting?
Movie magic.
All right, so now that we've got this case fan back in and the motherboard installed, the next thing we're going to do is actually the power supply. And then from the power supply, we're going to move to storage. So this is our 550 watt Corsair power supply. Comes with some literature, a power cord, some twist ties, all of the cables you'll need for your handy dandy plugging in your things needs, and the power supply itself. So this case does actually have on the bottom of it, it's got some sort of ventilation, and so we're going to end up installing this fan down. It's going to go in like this. And this is where things get a little messy, which is always fun. Now, both the best and worst part of really any computer build is actually the cable management. Because if you look at the back of a lot of these cases, it just becomes a nightmare of jumbled cables, and just, it's a disaster. So it's really important to make sure that you're very careful with what you're putting where. So the next thing we're going to actually do is install the storage, because it's important to make sure you route these cables before you route anything else. We've got our 1 terabyte WD Blue right here. It's just a very simple hard drive, basically for storage, for backup, for everything like that. And then a 480 gig Kingston SSD that he's actually going to use to edit footage off of and things like that. So it's probably going to be more convenient to just slide this directly into this slot here. Okay, who wants to install a hard drive? So this is going to slide right into here. And it's actually just going to go right like that. The first thing we're going to run is one of these SATA cables, and then we're going to run a power cable to it next. So the SATA just plugs directly in right here. This is for specifically data transfer back and forth between the motherboard itself. So, what's left?
GPU.
Go ahead and grab the GPU. You want to do the honors? Nope, it's still a 1060, it's just a smaller form factor, which is nice. So it's only a 6.
Perfect for this case.
Yes. Okay, let's install this puppy.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, so graphics card installation. Right there. Perfect, that is as snug as that's gonna get. All right, so that is your GTX 1060. Now, this plugs into right here. That's power for that. Now we can pull these all back down through here as far as we can. So, let's take a step back and address this side. So this is disgusting, but thankfully there's this wonderful thing called the back panel. And as long as you can close it and it looks good in the front, you're good. Look at that. The best secret to cable management
Don't do it.
is hiding it all and faking it. All right, let's try the front panel. Actually, let's make sure it posts before we try the front panel. So, moment of truth. This is the boot drive. This is the BIOS update. We'll see if it needs one. It may not. It does say it's 2000 series compatible on there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and flip the PSU switch. And then power it on. Watch the screen. Cool. Perfect. Okay. So this is the BIOS itself. We'll end up flashing it at some point, but the boot, I've actually never worked with this before, but so let's make sure it's got everything right here. This is our CPU itself. Its base clock is 3.4 gigs. We've got 2 separate DIMMs of 8 gigabytes Corsair memory for a grand total of 16 gigabytes. It's got our Kingston right here, 480 gigs of SSD, and then our WD 1 terabyte drive is also present. It does have all 3 fans recognized there, which is good. Now we're just going to click and drag this USB to be our basically our highest priority boot device. Okay, so we've got everything mostly set up here. Let's just finalize this. Ta-da!
Windows.
Windows. So thank you for joining us on yet another very unconventional attempt at building a PC. Just basically attempting what you can acquire on a budget, even if you are a college student. Like I said, this is for a college student on a college budget, and you get all of these components. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe for more content in the next coming weeks.